Hello,
Hi.
I'm Katherine. I'm here with
Yanjaa,
who is
yeah.
going to be my student today, and we are going to be talking about this book, Fantastic Mr. Fox, which was written by Roald Dahl, and it was written in, what year was it written? 1970.
Oh,
So
19.
It's about 50 years old.
Yeah.
50 years old. So I loved this book when I was a child, and my mother read it out loud, speaking to my brother and me. This is our cat, Lola. And so I want to read it with my students also. And it's written for children, but I think it's also pretty interesting for adults. The story moves pretty quickly. It's not too long. So I think it's a good book for maybe intermediate level English students. So you've read this once before, and so today I want to read through the first couple of chapters just to remember.
Just 2 chapters.
Just 2 chapters to remember what happens, and so as I'm reading, just really get the story in your mind. And imagine, just see the scene in your mind of what's happening, who are the characters. And then at the end of the 2 chapters, I'll ask you what you think might happen next. And so we'll think of what will happen after chapter 2. So if we had to write chapter 3, what would happen next in the story? And we'll write down some of our ideas. And then I'll ask you to write a paragraph about what happens, what might happen, and then we can read later and see if we're correct or not of what might actually happen in chapter 3. So, fantastic, Mr. Fox.
Yeah.
Let's get started.
Mr. Fox.
All right. Chapter 1: The 3 Farmers. There's the 3 farmers. There's pictures in this book too. Down in the valley, there were 3 farms. The owners of these farms had done well. They were rich men. They were also nasty men. All 3 of them were about as nasty and mean as any men you could meet. Their names were Farmer Boggis, Farmer Bunce, and Farmer Bean. Boggis was a chicken farmer. He kept thousands of chickens. He was enormously fat. This was because he ate 3 boiled chickens smothered with dumplings every day for breakfast, lunch, and supper. Bunce, number 2, was a duck and goose farmer. He kept thousands of ducks and geese. He was a kind of pot-bellied dwarf. He was so short, his chin would have been underwater in the shallow end of any swimming pool in the world. His food was donuts and goose livers. He mashed the livers into a disgusting paste and then stuffed the paste into the donuts. You know donuts?
Yeah, donuts.
Yeah. This diet gave him a tummy ache and a beastly temper. And we talked about that word temper. Temper.
Temper means they're very angry.
Very angry all the time. Yeah. A beastly temper. Bean was a turkey and apple farmer. Okay, 3rd farmer, turkey and apple. He kept thousands of turkeys in an orchard full of apple trees. He never ate any food at all. Instead, he drank gallons of strong cider, which he made from the apples in his orchard. He was as thin as a pencil and the cleverest of them all. Boggis and Bunce and Bean, one fat, one short, one lean. These horrible crooks, so different in looks, were nonetheless equally mean. That is what the children roundabout used to sing when they saw them. Okay, so we got our 3 farmers. Number 1 is Boggis. And what is Boggis? Tell me about him.
Boggis is the chicken.
Yes, chickens.
Chicken farmers. And then he very taller and then very fat.
Very fat, yeah. He eats a lot of chickens.
Yeah, he eats a lot of chickens. And then
This one, Bunce.
yeah, Bunce. Bounce means the very shorter.
He was very short, yeah.
He was very short, and then his chin is a very the front of the. I have to say.
Oh, so, yeah. So they do talk about his chin.
Yeah.
But what they say, this example, they say he was so short, so just short, that his chin would have been underwater.
Yeah.
In the shallow end of any swimming pool. So yeah, so even a pool where the water is not very deep, he would still be like under the water with just like his head sticking out. So it's not that he has a long chin, it's that his under the water you can't see his chin.
Under the water.
Yeah, so his little eyes walking under the water there. Yeah.
Very short.
He's very short. Yep, and he has ducks and geese. Okay. And then the third farmer, this one.
Third farmer, and
Bean.
then he eats the lot of something meat, meal.
No meals, no food.
Yeah, and he eat always. How to say?
Yeah, see if you can find it.
Gallons of cider.
Cider. Yeah, you know cider? The word cider?
Cider is that, I think cider means that in a gallons.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so gallons is the amount, right? Like a gallon of milk, a gallon of water.
Yeah, gallons of the glasses. Glass.
Yeah.
Put in the some jam.
Oh, like a jar. You're thinking of a jar, a glass jar. Yeah. So cider is a drink made from apples. And it's a strong cider, which means it has alcohol. So alcoholic drink.
Oh,
from apples. See, this is a children's book, right? It's strong cider. Yeah. So he drinks gallons of it. So gallons is just the amount. Maybe. Yeah, I think maybe in jars or bottles. Something like that. So yeah, but he doesn't eat any food. He only
in alcohol.
He only drinks alcohol. That's why he's so thin. He's really skinny. No, he was as thin as a pencil. That's the example. He was as thin as a pencil. Okay, yeah, so we have
He was really.
He was really thin. Silly story.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have our three farmers. Chapter 2. Mr. Fox. Oh, the book is about Mr. Fox. On a hill above the valley, there was a wood, a forest. In the wood, there was a huge tree. Under the tree, there was a hole. In the hole lived Mr. Fox and Mrs. Fox and their 4 small foxes. Every evening, as soon as it got dark, Mr. Fox would say to Mrs. Fox, "Well, my darling, what shall it be this time? A plump chicken from Bogus, a duck or a goose from Bunce, or a nice turkey from Bean?" And when Mrs. Fox had told him what she wanted, Mr. Fox would creep down into the valley in the darkness of the night and help himself. Bogus and Bunce and Bean knew very well what was going on, and it made them wild with rage. The rage, again, is angry. They were very angry. They were not men who liked to give anything away. Less still did they like anything to be stolen from them. Every night, each of them would take his shotgun and hide in a dark place somewhere on his own farm, hoping to catch the robber, Mr. Fox. But Mr. Fox was too clever for them. He always approached the farm with the wind blowing in his face, and that meant if any man were lurking in the shadows ahead, the wind would carry the smell of that man to Mr. Fox's nose from far away. Thus, if Mr. Bogus was hiding behind his chicken house number 1, Mr. Fox would smell him out from 50 yards off and quickly change direction, heading for chicken house number 4 at the other end of the farm. "Dang and blast that lousy beast," cried Bogus. "I'd like to rip his guts out," said Bunce. "He must be killed," cried Bean. "But how?" said Bogus. "How on earth can we catch the blighter?" Bean picked his nose delicately with a long finger. "I have a plan," he said. "You've never had a decent plan yet," said Bunce. "Shut up and listen," said Bean. "Tomorrow night we will all hide just outside the hole where the fox lives. We will wait there until he comes out. Then Bang, 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 bang.
Shoot, shoot, shoot.
We'll shoot him. Yeah. Very clever, said Bunce. But first we shall have to find the hole. My dear Bunce, I've already found it, said the crafty bean. It's up in the wood on the hill. It's under a huge tree. So tell me about Mr. Fox. What does Mr. Fox do?
This chapter 2, Mr. Fox lived under the tree,
Mm-hmm.
and then he in the afternoon, and outside is dark,
Mm-hmm.
and then he come out, and then he preparing the food for family.
Oh. Where does he get the food?
And for the two farmers.
Only two?
I think so. And three farmers of the selling the food.
Yeah, so Bean has the cider, but he also has turkeys. Yeah.
Turkey.
So from all three. Mm-hmm. He steals the food.
Yeah. And then steals the food.
Yeah.
And
they don't know that he does this, right? Do they know? Do they know that he steals the food, the farmers?
I think so.
Yeah, they know. They know.
I think so.
They know he's doing that, and they're angry. They're so angry at him.
Yeah. And then because of the one front of the church.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this is the beginning of the chapter. Yeah.
Yeah. And then one day, and Mr. Fox asked the Mrs. Fox. Mrs. Fox said, "Hey, what do you want to eat today?"
Mm-hmm.
And then which farmers from the stealing some food?
Yeah. This one or that one.
Yeah,
the other one.
Chicken or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And then his wife is the told Mr. Fox,
Mm-hmm.
and today we're gonna eat a chicken,
Mm-hmm.
something like that. And then be careful, and his wife summoned twice,
Mm-hmm.
and then summoned twice to her husband. Be careful and something like that.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Fox, don't worry about that. I can do it.
Yeah.
And then he come out in a home, and he smelled. His smell is a very stronger.
Yeah, he has a good sense of smell.
Yeah, and then he smelled the three farmers.
Yeah, and at the farm too.
Yeah.
Like if they're trying to catch him while he's stealing.
Yeah. And then from smelled the people, person
Yeah.
smell.
Yeah.
And he was very careful, and he was very careful of that. And then he the three farmers and shooting the car, his, have to say, I know it, but sorry, I forget it.
Yeah.
And then Lola's
Oh,
tell.
you're thinking of what happens in the next chapter because you already read this. You already read this book. But we'll pretend for a second. We'll pretend that we don't know what's going to happen. So yeah, so far we only know that he steals from them, and they're going to come to his home and try to shoot him. Okay. So I want to do this exercise here where we write out different possibilities, and I'll show you this later after we've written it. So at the top we have this: farmers go to Mr. Fox's home, which is the hole under the tree. Yeah. So let's think of two possibilities for what might happen if the farmers come. So Mr. Fox is in his hole, and the farmers are coming. They're coming along with their guns. I think Mr. Fox has a good sense of smell.
Yeah.
So one possibility is that Mr. Fox smells them, and he knows that they're coming.
Yeah.
So he can prepare and get ready. Another possibility is that he doesn't smell them. Okay.
Okay.
So we write it out like this. One possibility is that he smells them. Another possibility is that he doesn't. So if he does smell them, what are some different things that he might do? What do you think might happen after that?
He might smell. He doesn't smell things, right?
So this one is if he does. He smells. So they're coming, and he's, oh, I smell the farmers. I know they're coming.
I think he hiding something.
Oh, he might hide. Yeah. So he might hide like farther back in the hole.
Yeah.
Fox hides. Hi, Lola.
Hi.
We were talking about your tail earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, so he might hide.
And then he very softly walking on the way.
So he might leave his home. He might escape quietly.
Escape.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we talked about escape. No, we talked about the word evacuate. That was different.
Evacuate.
So the evacuate. Yeah. So the foxes might escape quietly.
Escape means like very quietly, walking on the way.
So escape just means they're in a bad situation and they get out. Yeah, they get away from where the danger is. Yeah, and so I added quietly. Farmers don't hear that.
Okay. And he might be. I think if I have a there and I just keep the my breath just.
Oh, you might hold your breath.
Yeah.
Okay. To be quiet.
Yeah, to be quiet.
Foxes hold their breath.
Hold the breath. Okay. Most of them were nervous.
Yeah.
And then they might be kill me.
Yeah, they'd be worried.
They were worried about
They're
it.
worried.
And they worry about it, and then, oh, I can't. What should I do now? And then something like that. Thinking, he might be thinking about a lot of things.
Yeah.
How can we still alive?
How can we stay alive? How can we still be alive? That's a good question in this situation.
Yeah.
So they're out. They've escaped. They're away from their hole. Where did they go next?
If foxes escaped.
Yeah.
He might be go to the home.
The farmers are at his home.
Oh. He might be friend's house.
To his friend's house. Okay. Yeah. Foxes go to a friend's house.
Another safe place.
Yeah. Yeah, and we learn later in the book that he has friends who are other animals who live in other places.
And then, but he still worry about in her family, his family.
Yeah, and so then more things have to have, like, what's he gonna do?
That's really.
Oh, I thought his family would also go with him, just to escape.
Is it?
Oh, that's just what I thought you were saying. The foxes together, not just Mr. Fox. Because just Mr. Fox leaves, then the small foxes and Mrs. Fox are still in danger. Yeah.
They all go further. And then he, I think he went to the friend's home, and then he helps. He wanna help us from friend.
Yeah.
And then maybe, and then his friend helped his family.
Yeah, his friend might help him.
Yeah.
So I had one idea about this one.
Okay.
If they escape, all the farmers are at the foxhole, right? They're all coming to shoot Mr. Fox. Who's at the farm?
Who's at the farm?
Where all the chickens and ducks and turkeys and geese are.
What did you say?
Yeah. So if all the farmers go to try to catch Mr. Fox, who is guarding the farm? Who is making sure nobody takes the chickens, ducks, and geese? Nobody.
Nobody. And then he took everything.
He can take all the animals. Yeah.
Oh, and then he told friends.
Oh yeah.
He told friends, his friends gonna stealing all the food.
Oh, I like this plan.
Yeah. And then I have another point too.
Okay.
And here, Mr. Fox's smell is very good.
Yeah.
And then he maybe he worry about his family.
Yeah.
And then he might be, and if I getting hurt something, I doesn't care. And because of that, my family is very important.
Yeah.
And then he, gonna moving the farmers. He gonna be moving the other place.
Yeah.
And then he
with a distraction, like Mr. Fox goes here.
Yeah.
So the farmers follow him and not his family.
Yeah. And then his family is this.
Is it? Okay. Yeah. That's a good one. So Mr. Fox smells. So where would we put that? If Fox smells the farmers coming, he might hide. All of his family escape quietly, or Mr. Fox.
Move the direction.
Yeah, I'm going to say distracts.
Distracts. Distracts mean move the direction. Similarly.
Yeah, so it's the same word. Like if I'm trying to read a book, read, and somebody over there is making a lot of noise, and I can't concentrate on what I'm doing because I want to know what's happening over there. So yeah, it just means like it makes them think about something different. Yeah, and the farmers will follow him instead.
Yeah.
Okay, so what if Fox doesn't smell them coming? And they arrive. Okay, I'm going to put that. They arrive at his house. Farmers arrive. Of
course he will be died.
Oh, yeah, he'll be shot. Okay. Sorry, Mr. Fox. Sad. Yeah. And the book is about Mr. Fox, so maybe that's the end of the book.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. So okay. So you get the idea here of different possibilities for what might happen, and I want to show our. Those are some of the ideas that we came up with. Yeah. So then. Next, I want you to, in your notebook, when you get a chance, write a whole paragraph about what might happen. So start with this. The farmers are going to Mr. Fox's house, and you only need to pick one of these pathways. Yeah. So just one idea. So maybe you say Fox smells them, and then they escape, but write it out in sentences of what's going to happen, and then. Later, we'll read chapter 3 and find out what really happens. And you know what really happens because you've read this book before.
Sorry.
No. I'm very glad you read this book before. It was a good time. But this is a demonstration of this exercise. So I hope you found it interesting, and we'll see you next time. Bye.